Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's skip the fluff because what went down in that Senate hearing wasn't some polite policy chat. It was a straight up political demolition. Senator Jack Reed rolled in loaded with facts, precision, and zero patience. Pam Bondi? She showed up armed with denial, distraction, and the same tired MAGA script we've all heard 1,000 times. Here's the kicker. The DOJ just dropped a case against forced reset triggers. That's right. Devices that can turn your standard AR-15 into a high-speed, bullet-spewing death machine. And Bondi had the gall to say this somehow improves public safety. Are you kidding me? Reed ripped her legal contortions to shreds, calling out the gift-wrapped loophole this hands to gun manufacturers. And just when you thought it couldn't get more shameless, the conversation turned to U.S. guns ending up in Mexican cartel hands. Instead of owning the problem, Bondi swerved into full-blown border fear-mongering and tossed in some cheap Biden blame. This wasn't just tense. It was a brutal expose of what happens when political loyalty and gun lobby cash take priority over keeping Americans alive.
Madam Attorney General, on May 16th, the Department of Justice announced that it dropped litigation to enforce the law against forced reset triggers. These are devices that can be installed in a few minutes on guns like a AR-15 in order to match the rate of fire of a machine gun. In fact, according to demonstrations on YouTube and elsewhere, you can dispose of an entire 30-round magazine in about 4 seconds, so it is a fully automatic weapon. In the press release announcing the settlement, you are quoted as saying the settlement, quote, will enhance public safety. How does putting more automatic weapons, which have been against the law since the 1930s, enhance public safety?
Thank you for that question, Senator Reed. What that will do, it will enhance public safety by settling the litigation because it is a guarantee that the manufacturer will not put that in handguns. We settled those cases because it was the right decision under the law. Nothing's comical about this. These devices are materially the same as bump stocks. The Supreme Court said last year that they are not machine guns under federal law. We followed the law. We will continue to follow the law. I'm a career prosecutor. I'm going to do everything in my power to keep Americans safe. What we should be concerned about up here are all the illegal guns flowing into our country by illegal aliens who have been free to walk into our country over the past 4 years. And we've taken thousands of those guns off of the street, including drugs and including violent criminals.
Excuse me. How can you go ahead and say we're more safe today because they will not put these automatic firing devices in pistols, which have magazines of about maybe 20 rounds at most, or maybe 10, and have a range much less than an automatic weapon? Have you ever fired an automatic weapon?
I have.
Well, you understand then that that's a device that was designed to kill people. It's not a hunting rifle. It's not a target rifle. It's mass fire. And you made a compromise saying, well, don't put them in pistols, but you can go ahead and put them out in automatic weapons.
We followed the law. We will continue to follow the law. You and I clearly disagree on the Second Amendment.
Well, I agree that machine guns are not appropriate in the United States, and since 1930 or so, we've outlawed machine guns. And these semi-automatic weapons that are produced in volume are so easily converted to automatic weapons that you're ignoring the reality, frankly.
I'm following the law, Senator.
Well, yes, that's right. By the way, how many American weapons are going to Mexico in a year? What are we doing to stop American weapons going to Mexico to arm their gangs?
Well, we need to support that on both sides.
Well, what are you doing?
What
are you doing to support it on our side?
We are arresting people who have illegal firearms in our country. We're not sending people back to Mexico with guns. We're throwing them in our jails and prosecuting them.
You're allowing them to be purchased in the United States and driven across the border. Most of these gangs have completely can turn themselves into military organizations because they're using American weapons, American technology, and your argument is that, well, we're not doing anything about them.
No, not my argument. That was the policy of the last 4 years of the Biden administration with open borders. You could come back and forth across our borders. You could buy guns. You could take guns off the street. You could shoot people in our country. You could bring fentanyl into our country. You could bring methamphetamine into our country. You could bring cocaine into our country. That was the previous administration.
No,
not this
What
one.
are you doing to stop the flow of weapons into Mexico?
We are arresting flow of weapons into. Our borders are closed. We are arresting illegal cartels. Sinaloa from Mexico, MS-13 from El Salvador, TDA. We are arresting from Venezuela. ATF has seized over 14,600 guns since Donald Trump has been president. That's a 33% increase from the last administration. And think about that. That's with our borders secure.
Were they coming into
they weren't doing anything.
Were they coming into the United States?
Our borders are closed. They're not coming in or out of the United States now across Mexico. We've done a 33% increase in firearm seizures. Think about that. Think about that, Senator, from the last administration. 33% increase. And our borders are closed. So we're getting all these guns off the streets that came into our country. And I'm so proud of the work of the men and women in law enforcement.
I don't think you've done anything to severely interrupt the arming of Mexican gangs. Because that's really not what your focus, and I think your focus should be on that. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And can I just add one thing? And
no,
because the borders are closed, we are stopping the guns from going to Mexico.
Well, let me ask you another question. If the borders are closed, why do we have a division headquarters of the United States Army in Fort Huachuca and military elements across the board when the borders close and Border Patrol can handle it?
As former military, I would think you would know the answer to that, to keep Americans safe.
No, I think it's to promote the president's policies on the border, and the readiness of our forces is suffering as a result. Thank you.
Senator Britt. All right, let's talk about the first jaw dropper from this hearing. Forced reset triggers, and how the DOJ just lit public safety on fire with one boneheaded, reckless move. Senator Jack Reed didn't just show up. He came in swinging, because the stakes couldn't be higher. Under Pam Bondi's watch, the Department of Justice quietly dropped its case against these forced reset triggers. Tiny chunks of metal that can turn your everyday AR-15 into a spray-and-pray killing machine. Don't be fooled. These aren't harmless gun accessories. They are mechanical hacks that make a civilian rifle spit bullets at machine gun speed. And there's a reason machine guns have been banned in America since the 1930s. They're designed for one purpose: killing as many people as possible, as fast as possible. But here comes Bondi, smiling like this is no big deal, claiming this somehow enhances public safety. Give me a break. Reed wasn't having it for a second. He laid it out plain. When a gadget can empty a 30-round magazine in under 4 seconds, you're not talking about a sporting rifle. You're talking about a weapon of mass slaughter. And by bailing on this litigation, the DOJ just sent a crystal clear message. The gun lobby calls the shots, and American lives are expendable. This isn't a mistake. This isn't incompetence. This is a deliberate choice to put political loyalty and gun industry profits ahead of the safety of every man, woman, and child in this country. Reed knows it. Bondi knows it. And now, after this hearing, the rest of America knows it too. Bondi had the audacity to frame this like she was doing America a favor. She called the settlement a win because it supposedly stops forced reset triggers from being added to handguns, as if keeping them on AR-15s makes it any less dangerous. That's like saying, don't worry, we only put rocket boosters on the missile, not the handgun. Ridiculous. To cover herself, she hid behind a recent Supreme Court ruling, claiming her hands were tied. Let's be real. This wasn't about legal constraints. It was about political convenience and keeping the gun lobby happy. Senator Reed wasn't fooled for a second. He called it exactly what it is, ignoring reality. Because no matter if it's attached to a pistol or a rifle, the result is the same. machine gun level firepower hitting American streets. Reed's warning was crystal clear. This isn't just bad policy, it's an open invitation to chaos. And Bondi's flimsy defense? It collapses under the weight of the lives that could be lost because of it. Then came the second grenade in this showdown, U.S. weapons flooding into Mexico. Senator Reed didn't blink. He went straight for the jugular, spelling out the ugly truth. American-made guns are arming Mexican drug cartels and turning street gangs into fully equipped paramilitary units. These aren't random punks with pistols. They're rolling into battle with military-grade firepower, gift-wrapped by America's weak gun laws and pathetic oversight. And what does Bondi do? She takes a victory lap. She crows about the DOJ seizing 14,600 firearms and touts a 33% increase under Trump like it's some gold medal. Reed's not impressed. He calls it what it is, empty bragging. Because here's the reality. Numbers mean nothing if the pipeline never shuts off. Snatching guns after they've crossed the border is like mopping up a flood while the faucet's still gushing. Reed's point was razor sharp. This isn't progress, it's political theater. And the real problem? The DOJ under Bondi isn't stopping the supply chain. They're just padding stats while the cartels keep shopping. And just when you thought the deflection couldn't get any more shameless, Bondi swerves hard into the border crisis talking points. With a straight face, she claims the borders are closed and law enforcement has everything under control. According to her, drugs are being stopped, cartels are being arrested, and the DOJ is basically single-handedly saving the republic. But Senator Reed wasn't buying it for a second. He dropped the hammer. If everything's so secure, why is the U.S. military still deployed at the southern border? His point was devastating. If the border were truly locked down, we wouldn't have combat troops on standby like it's a war zone. Instead, soldiers are being used as stage props for political theater. This isn't readiness, it's optics. And every day those troops are used for photo ops, our actual national defense takes the hit. At the core, this wasn't just a policy spat, it was a clash of principles. Reed zeroed in on real threats, public safety, the unchecked spread of deadly weapons, and the need for consistent, responsible legal action. Bondi? She kept circling back to immigration fear-mongering, blaming the last administration and wrapping herself in just following the law like it's some magic shield. Reed sees a DOJ that's lost its moral compass, a department more concerned with serving political narratives than saving lives. And he's right. Bondi's DOJ has morphed into a partisan shield for gun manufacturers and a weapon in ideological warfare. This hearing wasn't just a fiery exchange, it was a snapshot of the crisis we're living in. A DOJ that should be protecting Americans is playing politics with their safety. Bondi wants to bury the truth under cherry-picked stats and scare tactics, but Reed ripped the curtain wide open. This is a DOJ more committed to loyalty tests than real accountability. So ask yourself, who benefits when machine gun level firepower is back on the streets? Who wins when cartels stockpile American weapons while the DOJ shrugs? And who pays the price when leaders choose optics over action? If you're done with the spin, the gaslighting, and the excuses, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts below. This fight isn't over. We're just getting started.